Hello and welcome to AltcoinXP. My name is Anthony. In this video, I'm going to be using the Lightning Network for Bitcoin. So in the last video trying out EOS, I asked for donations in whatever cryptocurrency donations I asked for. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, I have donation addresses for. I asked for a donation so I could try out different cryptocurrency and whatever. And I totally forgot that I know Bitcoin, I'm sure EOS does too. They all have testnets that have testnet coins and all that. So don't worry about sending donations unless you just like the videos or want to support me or whatever. During my research last night, I think there might be a GUI for Lightning Network, and a GUI is just like a graphical user interface instead of using like command line stuff. I think I saw that in one of the links that I found last night, but I can't find it anymore. I'm just gonna use I found an awesome tutorial guide overview stuff on the Lightning Network website. I read a couple pages of that last night, and I'm gonna be going by that. Maybe in the future I'll try the GUI if I can find it, and other ways to interact with the Lightning Network, but you really learn a lot more if you interact with command line and understand how everything works instead of just using whatever application is there or whatever. So that's the way I'm gonna do things. There either are or can be multiple versions of the Lightning Network because it's just a protocol essentially, but I'm gonna be using the one developed by Lightning Labs at lightning.engineering. Then we're just gonna click on the get started thing. So this is the stuff that I was reading last night, the overview, reading all this stuff. I'm gonna read through all this again in the video and point out anything that I want to point out. The overview, and then there's a installation guide and a tutorial, and then setting up a local cluster, and then this is as far as I read last night. I don't know how far we're gonna get in this video. We'll see how it goes. Oh, so Lightning Network uses payment channels, and I made a video on payment channels a while ago that I'll link to at the end of this video if you want to check it out and understand like more about the technical math stuff behind how it works. Essentially, it's just contracts that do transactions off-chain, and then you can close out the contract and settle on-chain whenever you decide, or at the end of the contract or whatever. And the meal for this video is Velveeta macaroni and cheese. I feel like I should be setting a better example for you guys to eat healthy and all that stuff, but maybe the lesson to learn is that no one will have sex with me because I'm flabby and weak. So I'm not going to go over this entire page. It just gives you an overview of how payment channels work and all that stuff. The one thing that I did want to mention that I'm kind of confused about is that networks aren't always in a chain like this. It's a net with, like nodes are distributed and they don't all like interact like this. Like this one can interact with this and that and whatever, depending on who's closer to who. I wonder though if I guess I do have to explain how this works, so give me a second to think of an explanation. You guys shouldn't listen to my explanation though, you should read this because I'm gonna do a terrible job at explaining this. But basically, if Alice wants to send funds to Dave, and Dave is kind of far away or something, or not far away. What I mean is Alice has a payment channel open with Bob, and Bob has a channel open with Carol, and Carol has a channel open with Dave. But Alice doesn't have a channel open with Dave and wants to pay Dave. So the way that would work is Alice would give money to Bob, Bob would give money to Carol, and Carol would give money to Dave. And then this person has some information, and this Alice has the same information as Dave, so you just have to solve a math equation that these people need information for. Oh, I should do a better job of explaining. Just see my payment channel video to get a better understanding of it. But it could also be Alice has a payment channel open with Eve, and Eve has a payment channel open with Frank, and Frank has a channel open with Dave. So now there's two routes here that this can complete with. So I wonder, what I'm getting at is I wonder if there could be orphan payment channels, the same way in like Bitcoin there's orphan blocks where if two miners find a block at the same time, one block gets orphaned. I forget which one gets orphaned and how you decide that or whatever. But I wonder if payments can get orphaned too, if there's two different ways or multiple ways for a payment to reach the same endpoint. Hope you guys get what I mean. I don't really know how that would work, but it was just something I was thinking while I was reading this overview the other day. So I'm gonna get into the installation and trying out all this stuff now. I do want to mention, I was thinking the other day when I was reading all this, I'm like, oh, how am I gonna do this? Do I have to set up like multiple computers, each with copies of a blockchain? I would be using the testnet, which is a smaller blockchain size, thankfully. But yeah, I was thinking, oh, do I have to set up like multiple virtual machines on different computers because of hard drive space and all that to send transactions and test everything? But thankfully, with this, so first there's something called, I think it's called like the SimNet or something. So you can simulate Bitcoin transactions and Bitcoin blocks and all that. Because on the testnet and on the real Bitcoin network, you have to wait 10 minutes for blocks to be confirmed. So if you're testing stuff, you don't really want to wait, or it's not beneficial, or you don't want to wait in between testing for block confirmations and all that. So with the SimNet, you can manually, and this is, I guess, just it's a internal Bitcoin network that you're making, and you can force generate blocks. Instead of having to wait 10 minutes, you can just type a command and run like the next 50 blocks or whatever. I'm not going to be doing that because waiting is the spice of life. I'm going to be using the testnet because let's just have all my tests put on an actual network. That seems like fun. There'll be some type of permanence there, but the testnet could be wiped at any time. Yeah, and also anything I'm doing in this video can be directly translated to Litecoin as well. I'm creating a new Ubuntu 18.04 virtual machine now with 50 gigs of disk space. I think the testnet is only something like 14 gigs or so, but we'll do 50 just to be safe. I'm also using 8 gigs of RAM. The disk is on an SSD. And I'm gonna dedicate 4 CPUs to it, 4 processing threads. And the reason I'm doing that, because I have the extra resources on this main machine, so why not just put them towards what I'm currently using it for. And this machine is a 4770K. I have it overclocked. I think it's higher. I think I have it overclocked higher than this. I don't remember what I have it overclocked to. 24 gigs of RAM and then some drive stuff and GTX 670. So I don't know. I don't have a reason to upgrade it. So that's what we have. Ubuntu 18.04 offers this minimal installation thing, which just has a browser and basic utilities. I'm gonna try this just to see if it works. That means I could save time and resources and all that, disk space and all that stuff, you know. So while we're waiting for the VM to install, these are all the sausages I bought today. I'm gonna be on a sausage and milk diet for forever. Alright, to start we're gonna install the Go language, and they recommend that they use the latest version, and it says at time of writing it's 1.10. I looked at the Golang website and they're on 1.10.3. So I'm going to change this command here to 1.10.3-go, and maybe that'll work. No, that didn't work, so we're just going to do what the instructions say instead. Then we'll just do update and upgrade and see if there's anything new. So the next instruction says you should set your go path environment variable, which represents the path to your workspace. By default, go path is set to home/go. And you also need to add go path bin. I don't know what this means, but we're gonna do it anyway. It also recommends that I put this in my bash rc file, which is right here. And to get to that, you just go show hidden files, and it's in the home directory right here. I guess what this is just it makes it so you don't have to type this stuff in every time you open up the terminal. So I guess it's like a configuration file or something. So yeah, we just save that. So the next step wants me to install this dep dependencies manager thing, and yeah, I'm getting go not found. So I gotta figure this out. So I ended up just doing apt-get install golang instead of golang 1.10-go, and then I did the path stuff. And the next command said, I guess this means that git isn't installed, so I'm going to install git. And that's sudo apt-get install git. And yeah, it looks like the command completed now. And now it's these 3 commands to install the Lightning Network daemon and the Lightning Network command line interface. I hope that this is working, because the commands just kind of do this and then eventually return back to the command prompt. I just realized I forgot to set this with 4 CPUs, so I'm just running 1 CPU. I would have to restart the VM to change it. I don't feel like doing that. And now it wants me to update to the latest version of the Lightning Network daemon, I guess. Already up to date. So this is what I got. This is where I'm at now. I should probably read this stuff, the output, so I can know what's going on. And now we run the make check command to make sure that the thingy was installed properly. So at some point here, it started running some tests, and so I'll like run and pass, some of them pause and continue and whatever. So we scroll down all the way to the end here. There's a lot. And at the end, it says make file 150 recipe for target unit failed, error 123. I'm gonna look that up, and hopefully everything's okay. I feel that might be a specific error to the check file that was just ran. So the make check thing, the check was a script file that ran all this stuff, I believe. So I might not find any information on this error unless I contact Lightning Network developers. I don't like talking to people. Luckily, someone already had this issue and posted about it. And the conclusion of this is that the issue is caused because Bitcoin D with ZMQ is not installed, and the proper version of it is installed automatically when compiling the unit or integration tests. I don't know what ZMQ is, and I'm assuming that it was installed when I ran the make thing. I don't know, let's just move on with life. Coincidentally, the next step is installing BTCD, so maybe that check thing shouldn't check for it or whatever. Maybe this should be installed before doing the make check thing. I don't know. So yeah, next step is make BTCD, and that all completed fine. Oh, I also want to mention this uses the roast beef fork of BTCD. So you don't need Bitcoin Core or any of the, you can interface with the Bitcoin, you could write your own program to interface with the Bitcoin network. So this roast beef fork is just a fork of the Bitcoin daemon, I guess, that this uses. I may have just fucked up because I control seed or pasted this into here and it automatically started running, and I just did control C to stop it because it automatically started running before I could replace the RPC username and password. Hopefully I didn't fuck anything up. So this command is actually what starts the Bitcoin daemon running and what syncs the testnet blockchain and everything. So actually right here I'm gonna stop this and increase my CPUs to 4, so hopefully this will take a little bit less time. When I reboot, I should just have to cd to this directory and run this command with my my credentials again. Alright, we're back. 4 cores. So yeah, it's 4 o'clock, 57 minutes. We'll come back when this is finished syncing. I'm wearing sunglasses because I was outside. That's better. So I was just at Walmart. I was trying to sell them this design for pants. My thinking was, vertical stripes make you look thin, horizontal stripes make you look fat, diagonal stripes is unexplored territory. We gotta do some research here. We gotta get some real world testing done. They wouldn't buy it, but they did give me this for free as a consolation prize. I guess I went home happy at least. I'm actually a little bit confused about why it's having us download the testnet. I'm using the testnet personally, but the instructions here actually tell you actually for the SIMnet. So the testnet, I don't know. I don't know why it's asking for it. I think if you use the SIMnet, you probably don't need to download all these blocks and everything. Alright, so it's actually the next day. BTCD finished syncing at about 11 p.m. last night, so I think that's about 7 hours it took. I'm not 100% sure we needed to sync the testnet. Maybe I am? No, I am 100% sure, but, well, no I'm not. Because there's also a light client, which I guess probably just downloads block headers or whatever, instead of all the information. But it does say up here to sync the Bitcoin testnet, so I don't know why they would have that first if we didn't need to do it, but I did it anyway. So then next we're gonna, so I'm gonna skip this light client stuff. So the next command should be this, but it also says if you are installing LND in preparation for this tutorial, you may skip this step. And this tutorial is actually, I think this is the one that I'm actually going to be doing. Let me double check. Yeah, this is what I'm going to be doing. All I'm going to do in this video is do up to stage 1, and that's to set up a local environment with 3 nodes. I might do 4 nodes or more, and then do whatever. So yeah, I'm going to skip this step, and then this is running Lightning Network daemon with Bitcoin D or Litecoin D backend, and we're using the BTCD backend, so we can skip all this stuff as well. And the last step on this page is creating a Lightning Network configuration file. We're modifying it so then you won't have to put in a long ass command or whatever to start it. I'm going to be skipping that. So now we can go straight to setting up a local cluster of a bunch of different Lightning Network users and payment channels and all that fun stuff. All right, so the first step is we're going to be making a dev directory here, and then inside of that folder there'll be 3 more folders for Alice, Bob, and Charlie. I'm also going to do David and Eve as well because I want to. And let's add in Frank as well. ed go path mkdir space dev, make directory dev, and now we have a dev directory, and then make directory Alice, Bob, Charlie, David, Eve, Frank. I screwed that up. They're supposed to be in the dev directory, so cd dev, and then same command. So now we have to start the Lightning node for Alice, so we'll cd to the Alice folder, and then run this command, and change our password stuff here. I'm also going to be changing this to be bitcoin.testnet since we're going to be using that instead of the SIMnet. So this is what we got here, and this is where we're supposed to be at, waiting for wallet encryption password. And now we're going to start the Lightning Network nodes for Bob and Charlie, and we have to change the port numbers. It was a 1 before in these, and 2, and then 3 here, so we're not using the same ports for them. And then also we're still changing this to testnet. And then I just created a lnd.conf configuration file with this stuff here. Obviously I added my own username and password and changed that to testnet. That's so we don't have to add all these extra commands next time we start what we're doing. Alright, so next I'm gonna set up this macaroon stuff, which I guess is just to for authentication to the RPC server. And I'm gonna be honest, didn't really research what macaroons is, and I'm not even 100% sure what an RPC server is. I mean, I've used it a lot of times before dealing with cryptocurrency and all that, but I don't really know what it is or whatever. But you could disable macaroons, and you can also disable wallet encryption, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go through all these other steps. It does recommend that you go through these steps just so you can familiarize yourself with all that stuff. And familiar things are comfortable. So we opened up yet another terminal window and changed directory to the go path for Alice. And then I guess this is creating the admin.macaroon file. And I guess maybe now we have to put in a password. I didn't read that far yet into this thing. So I just created a password. And then for this, the instructions recommend just typing in no and not setting this up. And then just press enter to proceed without passphrase. So doing this got my Alice Lightning Network node working. So then I'm just going to repeat those steps for Bob and Charlie as well. I don't know what I screwed up with Bob. I'm going to check after this, but I got an error saying that the seed couldn't be generated. Okay, what I did, I kept the port number the same. That needs to be a 2 for Bob. Success. And then this is a 3 for Charlie. So if you're doing this on the real Bitcoin network and doing anything in production or personal or whatever, you would copy down the cipher seed. I'm not gonna blur them out. I should probably blur these out, all these passwords and stuff out. This way I don't have to set up a new node and new all of this environment stuff when I continue on with the other stages in future videos. But yeah, right now I have 2, 4, 6, 7 terminal windows open. These 3 are the Lightning Network command line things. These 3 are the respective Lightning Network nodes for Alice, Bob, and Charlie. And then this one here is the BTCD testnet. If I didn't mention yet, this Lightning Network documentation is extremely well written, a lot better than the EOS video that I did the other day. So we don't have to type in all this other stuff. We can add this to our bashrc file. So I'm going to do that now. The bashrc file is just a hidden file in the home directory. Oh, I showed you this already because this is where we added the other stuff for our go path. So we're just going to copy and paste that stuff in, and that's right here in the Lightning Network instructions, and then just save that. Now we're going to create a Bitcoin address for Alice with this command. Do the same for Charlie over here, and what did I do? Oh, there we go. And then same for Bob down here. Bitcoin addresses with the 2 preceding them are testnet addresses. The next step in these instructions are giving some Bitcoin to Alice, but these instructions are for the SIMnet, and since we're on the testnet, we're not going to do this. I'm going to show you what we're going to do instead. We're going to go to this website and input our Alice's Bitcoin testnet address to get some testnet ether. Testnet ether? Testnet Bitcoin. So I just went to the blockchain explorer for the testnet, and it looks like we got 1.3 BTC. I'm going to do it on my main computer as well, because we'll get a 70% more for using IPv6. I'm sure I'll be okay with just 1.3 Bitcoins, but I don't know. I'm greedy, I guess. So that gave us an additional 1.8 Bitcoins for a total of 3.1 Bitcoins. We're gonna have to wait for some confirmations though, at least one, I guess. So it should take about 10 minutes. This is a downside of using the testnet instead of the SIMnet. However, with me using the testnet, you guys will be able to follow along more closely to my steps to use on the real Bitcoin network. I'm not going to ignore all these instructions though. It asks to check that SegWit is active. So all I changed from here, I changed SIMnet to testnet, and then put in my password and stuff. And we got that it is active. And then I'm just going to check Alice's balance too. We did already check it on the Block Explorer here, but yeah, we could do it from command line too. And yeah, we're good. And there's no unconfirmed balance, everything's confirmed now. And right now I'm gonna complete the same thing for Bob and Charlie, give them some testnet bitcoins. So now we have Bob with 1.55 bitcoin and Charlie with 0.775 bitcoins. So now we're gonna create a peer-to-peer network between Bob, Alice, and Charlie. And to do that, we need to go to Bob's terminal window, Bob's node. So Bob, this is real life Bob, you know? These are actual people here. They're all in one location on my monitor of justice. But think of these as real people. So we just gotta do get peer or get info, get Bob's public key, and then we're gonna be putting this command into Alice's window to connect Alice to Bob. So this would be Bob giving Alice. Bob would have to give Alice a public key, I believe, for them to connect. I mean, I did try, I don't know if this is just because I'm doing everything locally, but I did try list peers, and maybe this public key here is what I need. So maybe you can get public keys without knowing the people that are on the network in real life. Without them giving them to you, you might be able to get them yourself. Or in the actual Lightning network, all the Lightning nodes probably there's probably a public list somewhere of all the public keys that you can just look at and connect to. And the more you connect to, the more propagated the network will be. So now we're going to set up a payment channel between Alice and Bob with this command, and with Bob's public key. Alice is the one who's running this. The thing that I'm confused about is this local amount, which signifies the amount of bitcoins that are going to be locked up in this payment channel. It doesn't specify here if this number is in Bitcoin or if it's in Satoshis or millibits or what. I'm just going to use the get wallet balance command. Actually, the command is just wallet balance, and I'm going to put in I'm going to use whatever this is. So I'm going to use 100 million, which is 1 Bitcoin. So I did get an error. The maximum channel size is 0.16 Bitcoin, so I can't put a whole Bitcoin in there. I just deleted 1 0 and we'll try again. And now we have to wait for this transaction on the blockchain, I believe. It says we have to wait 6 blocks so that the channel is considered valid. So here's a transaction on the Block Explorer. We can see that we sent 0.01 to here, and then this is our change address. It's a little bit weird not seeing addresses here on where they're sent to. I'm going to look this transaction up in a different Explorer. Not because I don't trust it, I just wanted to see if there's any other information available, which it doesn't really look like there is. And yeah, so I have to wait an hour because it says that I do need 6 blocks and averaging every 10 minutes. I guess I'll have to pick this up tomorrow. Well, we're in luck because blocks are getting confirmed a lot faster than every 10 minutes here. Which, I have no idea why that is. It should always be 10 minutes so that there's a stable, predictable amount of Bitcoin being created, or testnet Bitcoin. But I'm not going to complain about it because it's making what I'm doing go by faster. Alright guys, so we let the 6 blocks get mined. Actually, it's the next day, so everything's all good. Let's see where we left off. So we made the payment channel between Alice and Bob, and then I just checked the wallet balance, and then I did the list channels command, and we can see that this is Bob's identity public key, I think it's called, and we see that there's 0.1 Bitcoin in there, and then we look at Bob's thing and list channels and it's the same thing, and then nothing was created with Charlie, so the list channels thing just has nothing there. I'm still confused about where this actually was sent and how traceable it is on the blockchain and all that. Maybe you guys could let me know what's going on there. But the good news is we're all set up to finally send a payment. So first, Bob needs to generate an invoice for the amount that he wants, I guess. And then after that, we'll send a payment from Alice to Bob. Just to make communicating easier, all these numbers are in Satoshis. So in Bob's invoice thing, we created an invoice for 10,000 Satoshis, and we got a R hash, which I'm not sure what R hash, what the R stands for, and then we also got the pay we got stuff, and then this add index thing. I don't know what that is. That's not listed. That's not listed here. I wonder if there's a way to see, for Alice to see invoices. If there's a command to list invoices that, well, no, this command doesn't involve Alice at all, so she doesn't know. So I guess Bob would have to give Alice this code here. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. I say that because Bob generates this pay required. I don't know what that means, but Alice needs that, so Alice needs to get it from Bob. So let's run this, see what happens. So we got payment error. I don't know what that is. This pre-image number, payment route, time lock, and yeah, that matches everything here. We have a couple more things. That payment error thing isn't there, and then chain ID, capacity, amount to forward. Then we also have this expiration thing and amount to forward in millisatoshis. If we do the list channels command for Alice, we can see that this decreased by 10,000 satoshis. If we look at the previous list channel thing, it's a 7 here and it's a 6 in the other one. And I'm assuming that this was the fee that we paid. And yeah, Bob's list channels command shows the same thing. Next, we're gonna try the multi-hop payments. So this will be, I'm gonna create a channel between Bob and Charlie, and then Alice is gonna be able to transfer Bitcoins to Charlie without having a direct channel open between the two. They'll be routed like this. Alice to Bob and whatever. So the command we're using to open a channel between Charlie and Bob is open channel, then Bob's public key channel thing, and we're going to be using 800,000 satoshis, and then we're using this push amount thing, which from what I understand immediately credits Bob with 200,000 satoshis. I got an error for incorrect usage, and it looks like it's because I have an underscore here that shouldn't be there, and then I didn't put an equal sign, but now we're all good. Now we have to wait 6 block confirmations for that. While we're waiting, I'm unsure what I'm gonna do next. If I'm gonna continue on with this tutorial in the next video and do stages 2, 3, and 4. I didn't read any of these yet. Or maybe what I want to do is test out my thinking before about orphaned payments that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. I'm gonna read through this first and then decide what I'm gonna do after. Alright guys, it's been a while since I last recorded, maybe a week. I know I left off somewhere around here, and I think we're moving on to doing this. But give me a moment, let me get my bearings figured out. Alright, yeah, so we left off opening a channel for between Bob and Charlie, and this should allow us for Alice to pay Charlie without having a channel open. It'll go Alice, Bob, Charlie through that way. We can verify everything's set up correctly with the list channels command. So we have Alice list channels, and it shows one channel that she's involved in, and the remote public key should be Bob's public key. I'll double check all that after I show you guys this. And then list channels for Bob has 2 channels, so one of these should be Alice's and one of these should be Charlie's. And then for Charlie, we should see that he is only connected to Bob. And again, we can verify that with Alice's public key, which is 0237 and 0237. And then Charlie should be 02B4 and 02B4. So now we create an invoice. Charlie creates an invoice for 1,000 or 10,000 satoshis. Then Charlie is gonna give this invoice number, the pay rec invoice number, to Alice, so she can initiate the payment of 10,000 satoshis. And the command for that is lncli-alice send payment -- pay_rec equals, and then the invoice number. And this is what we got. Give me a second and I'll look it over. If everything went through, we can see this is the previous balance. Remote balance is 10,000 Satoshis. That's the previous balance between Bob and Alice. And then now we can see that there's 20,001. I'm not sure where the 1 came from. And yeah, the balance was decreased by 10,000 as well. Now looking at Bob's channel, we can see previously between Bob and Alice, they had 10,000 Satoshis, and now Bob and Alice's channel has 20,000 Satoshis. And we can see that previously the channel between Bob and Charlie had 474,000 Satoshis, and now it has 484,000 Satoshis. So everything is good there. And Charlie's channel, this is the channel between Bob and Charlie. Previously there was a local balance of 474,000 and a remote balance of 200,000. And now we have a local balance of 484 and a remote balance of 190,000. Which this is kind of confusing to me. I'm not sure whose is whose on this. Maybe I could figure that out. Well, the way I was going to figure it out was by seeing the wallet balance or the channel balance and figure out whose is whose in this. But in the tutorial, I don't see a command for that. I know like the wallet balance command, but I think that's only to see the wallet balance, not the channel balance. Well, I just used my intuition and did the channel balance command, and it says that Bob has 484,000. So that means that Charlie has 484,000. Let's see what Bob has. Bob has 210,000, and Alice has 9,866,000. I feel like I'm confusing myself here because I still don't know who this belongs to. And the reason that's important is because the local balance went up by 10,000 and the remote balance went down by 10,000. Maybe I'm just being stupid here and not seeing something that's obvious. Let me know in the comments what I'm missing or why I'm confused or whatever. Alright, so the next step the last step in the part 1 of this tutorial is closing the channels. It says we need this channel point ID number thing, and then run these commands. So this funding transaction ID, we see the channel point has 2 numbers separated by a colon. The first number is the funding transaction ID. You just paste that right in there, baby. The output index is the last number, which is 0. Generates a closing transaction ID for us. And it says then we just have to mine 1 block. This is on the SimNet, so we don't have to do that. We just have to wait for a block to be mined. But I do wonder why we only have to wait for 1 block to close the channel, but to open the channels, we have to wait for 6 blocks. Well, I guess maybe that's because the previous 6 blocks that confirmed opening the channel confirmed these initial balances anyway. So then we only need this 1 block to actually write everything to the blockchain, since everything was already previously verified and had 6 confirmations before. And yeah, we can just take the closing transaction ID, paste it into a block explorer, and it'll tell us all about it. Alright, so the block confirmation happened. We can see that now Alice has no channels open. She previously only had a channel open with Bob. And we can see that Bob's channel with Alice is closed on his end, and he still has a channel open with Charlie, which we're going to close this channel too before the end of the video. We can see previously Alice had 3.1 Bitcoins, and now we see she has 3.09 Bitcoins. Bob previously had 1.55 Bitcoins, and now he has 1.55 and 20,001 Satoshis. And now we're looking at Charlie's channel, and previously he had 0.775 Bitcoins, and now he has 0.76678 Bitcoins. And we didn't close Bob and Charlie's channel yet, so I'm not really sure how that's going to change after we close it. If I think things through, I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't like thinking anymore. Now we're using the same command as before, and we're closing Bob and Charlie's channel, and we have to wait for a block confirmation again. But we can check that there's an unconfirmed balance of 539,000 satoshis that are going to be credited to here after we confirm everything. And Bob has 190,000 that he's going to get confirmed with. All right, guys. So I guess in conclusion, what do I think of the Lightning Network? Well, these instructions are amazing, really easy to read, everything worked. There's some things that I'm confused about, but I think that kind of comes because it took me so long to make this video, like a week and a half or something. I procrastinate it because I always get distracted by all these other things in life. Then I have like errands to run that distract me and other appointments and everything. So it's really hard for me to just sit down and shut everything off in life and just focus strictly on this. But yeah, in the coming videos, I have my hair transplant video I have to record and publish, and that's today. And then I have another video, but I'm gonna get back to this Lightning Network stuff. I want to see about the like orphan confirmations or orphan payments on the channel that I was thinking of. I want to test that out and read about it, but also maybe I should do the rest of these stages of the tutorial before I try doing my own stuff on it. Let's see what else. I don't know. I think that's the end of this video. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video as well. If you want to support videos like these, you can donate Bitcoin or Ethereum to the addresses both on screen and in the description below. Also, I do have a Patreon account. You can follow me on all social media. I'm probably forgetting a ton of other stuff that I need to say and mention about this video and whatever, but that's it. Take care, thank you, and goodbye.